Hey everybody, I'm going to replace an axle on a 2016 Chevy Malibu. Put grease on the outside. Put That's where the ring is. Put grease on that spindle and take this nut off here, obviously. And then, by the way, that's a 32 millimeter socket. So you're going to take these two nuts off and push the bolts out. Those are like, I think those are 19 or 18 millimeters. I did not have to take off the tie rod. That was not necessary. So I didn't have to bother that. There is a 10 millimeter right there that you have to take off. That's a sensor. So be careful with that. Take that out so that it's out of the way and you won't damage anything. And so then this one here, I think this is a 19 or a 20 millimeter. And you're going to have to take this hose off of the bracket so that you don't stretch it or pull it out. But you take this top and the bottom off. That allows you to take the brake caliper off. And be careful with that as well. And look at that grease. When you see grease thrown all over the wheel well and all over the place, that's indicative of a torn CV axle boot. By the way, use a C-clamp to compress the brakes before you take off the caliper. Okay, so now you have those two bolts out, those two 18 millimeter bolts out. That loosens everything up. The nut is still in place, but it's been loosened. So at that point, I took the nut off. There's a little Torx bit here that keeps the rotor on. Undo that. Now the rotor's off. I take the steering knuckle out of the strut. That's all loose. You can pull that forward, pull the axle out and bend it down, and it comes right out. And I'm under the car now, and so pay attention to how deeply the axle goes into the transmission so that you can properly see the new one and you don't have it hanging out. I just took a pickle fork, put it across there, and I hit it with a hammer and I tapped it out. You have to have a container with a funnel or just a pan to catch the fluid. However much fluid comes out, you have to put that much fluid back in. And this is the end of the new CV axle. I put grease on it to make it easier to slide it in. There's the hole where you're going to insert it. And so that the new one there is inserted. But be careful. You have to put it in properly and seat it properly. So once it's in, you want to hold it straight and compress it a little bit. And you have to be careful. You can use a rubber mallet or a block of wood and a hammer. And you can put the block of wood on the end of it. And you want to hit it in place to make sure it goes up into the transmission. You should not be able to pull it out. And it should seat. And you should feel the difference. And no fluid should be leaking out. And then you just put everything back together. And sometimes you need a jack to raise that thing up because the strut is funny. Sometimes you have to do that. And use the new hardware that comes with the new CV axle. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Be blessed.